Hey everyone, my name is Hairy Muppet, and today I'm going to go through a tutorial about some of the more advanced aspects of Starcraft 2. Now first off, before you start watching this, you should have a fairly good idea about the basics of Starcraft 2. For example, building units, attacking the enemy, which you can pick up very easily by playing a few custom games against the computer. Now the topic of this tutorial is queuing commands. Basically, if you want one of your units to do multiple things in a sequence, without having to continuously select it and tell it what to do, then this is the tutorial for you. Okay, first thing we're going to cover is queuing movement commands. This is also known as setting waypoints for your units. One very simple example of this is actually built into StarCraft. If you grab a unit and select the patrol command on another location, it will move to that location and back until you tell it to stop. So pretty much patrol infinitely. Let's look at another example. Say we're on a map with 4 starting locations, but we're only playing against one enemy. So obviously we want to find out which location the enemy is starting off in. So what we're going to do is select a unit, select the move command, and holding down the shift key, we'll click on each of the enemy locations, all without releasing the shift key, and we'll end up at this Zelda watchtower. You notice I'm clicking on the minimap, not on the main map. It's very simple to click on the minimap and you'll go to exactly the same locations. So let's just follow this drone. You can also see when we've got him selected that he has a green line showing him which waypoints he's currently following. So we just hit that one and it disappeared, and now the green line is going to be pointing to the next one. And if we follow this green line here and then up here, we can see that his final resting place is next to this Zelda watchtower. Of course, if this drone does happen to find an enemy base here, you can, well, let's give him a second to see if he actually does find this base here, but you can just normal right click without holding down the shift key and it'll automatically stop following any of the waypoints that it previously had queued. No base here, but we'll demonstrate by say right clicking over there, and as you can see the remaining green lines have disappeared. Okay, let's look at a more complicated example now. We currently have a group of void rays here, and we're going to try and go in and snipe their command center. So, in other words, travel around the back, jump in, take it out, and then get out again before we lose too many void rays. The reason we do this is, first and foremost, if they don't have a command center, they can't keep gathering minerals, which will severely stunt their army size. And the other reason is they have a pretty significant army force right around this area, which we want to avoid because I believe there's a lot of marines, and now Thors in there, which could do a lot of damage to our void ray force. So we're going to take this out, try and take this out automatically by setting up waypoints. So let's set them up. You can see here that the second link is red, which means that it's an attack command. So obviously don't want to move on top of the command center, we want to attack it. We're going to slightly modify the waypoint sequence here to take out that missile turret, but we won't modify it to take these out because it's just a very quick snipe here. So we're not going to try and stay behind to take out any more units. And as you can see, we've lost some health on some of the void rays, but I don't think we actually lost any of the void rays. And the enemy is forced to completely rebuild their command center, which is going to take some time. Okay, so in the last section of the tutorial we started looking at attack waypoints rather than movement waypoints. In other words, actually queuing up the units that you want to attack in sequence. Now, some of the reasons you might want to do this is basically just to get the units down as quickly as possible and reduce the amount of incoming damage. For example, say in this video we're going to start attacking 3 battle cruisers with our 5 void rays, as you can see in the background. Now, if you get all of them down to equally low health, 3 battle cruisers still do the same amount of damage as if they all had full health. But if you just get one of them down straight away, then that reduces the amount of incoming damage you're taking by a full third, which is going to help your survivability quite a lot. So we're going to go in and we're going to first of all do an attack without using any attack waypoints. And we're going to see how well our void rays do. We're at the moment not going to try and use any micro to save the void rays. That will probably be in a later tutorial. For now we're just going to do simple attack waypoint. And as you can see, we've lost 3 void rays so far. It's pretty unlucky actually. I've done it without using waypoints before and still kept 4, but definitely not a good output. Out of our 6 initial, I think there was 6, we lost about 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to load the save points for that particular fight, and we're going to go in again, except this time we're going to use attack waypoints. So holding down the shift key, as always for waypoints, we're going to click this one and so on, and you can see the red line joining these all. It might look a little bit out of place, but that's because it's actually centered on the ground and the battle cruisers are up in the air. So it's looking a little bit better at the moment. Not too much better, but we are going to have all 4, no sorry, not all 4, but 4 of our void rays surviving, which is definitely an improvement over the previous time. And it depends a little bit on luck. It's definitely possible to do this fight without losing any void rays, but as I said, that'll require some micros, so we'll leave that to a later tutorial. Okay, so we're going to move on to the last part of this tutorial now, which is looking at using custom commands as part of waypoints. Our example here is the siege tanks. We're going to use their tank mode and siege mode abilities as part of a waypoint. Let's take a quick look at what I'm talking about here. This is the start of the mission called the Dig, which is where you first get introduced to siege tanks. And what they want you to do is move these siege tanks up to this ridge and put them in siege mode to wipe out this stalker. So we're going to attempt to do that as part of a waypoint. So holding down the shift key, we'll put them into tank mode, move them over here, and put them into siege mode. As you can see, the siege mode button pops up automatically, even though it takes them a couple of seconds to get back into tank mode. And this is because Blizzard designed the game specifically for use with these advanced waypoints. As you can see, as soon as they reach this point, they automatically go into siege mode. And that stalker just got completely owned. And another gets owned. So there you go. And basically, this ability can be used with a lot of different units as well. If I had researched Stim on this Marine, I could do something like moving it to there, then holding down the shift key, click Stim, and as soon as it got to this point, it would stim up, which is extremely good if you're going to run over and do an attack. And there are all sorts of other ways you can use it. Psionic Storm on Templars is one of the other good ones I can think of. Any sort of special units like Ghost Launching Nukes and so on and so forth. Extremely useful if you learn how to use their special abilities in a waypoint. But anyway, that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it so far, and I will try and get some more tutorials out soon to do with microing and possibly special abilities of units. But we'll leave it for now, and thank you very much for watching.